Hello everyone, and welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills and this special segment, the Wealth Zone University. The Wealth Zone University is here to make sure that you begin to understand that understanding finances is not brain science. We all have to take responsibility for our finances. And so our mantra is to change your mind about money so you can change your financial future. The basis that we have at Wealth Zone University for our financial education is the financial wellness strategy. 5 elements that everyone, and I mean everyone, can follow to work their way to financial wellness. One of the things that we've been doing is using the acronym WOMANess to highlight that women in business are what we read in Harvard Review a few years ago, leading the female economy. In keeping with that, we have 2 wonderful guests today that we're going to talk to, get to know, and hopefully you will relate to so they'll become your role models. And we're going to talk today about women in business, but also specifically about government contracting. So my guests today are Diana Parker. Diana is the CEO of Career Choices Incorporated. And my other guest is Joan Branch. And Joan Branch is the CEO of Interdynamics Incorporated. Ladies, welcome. Thank you for coming to hang with me for a little bit of a while. Diana, how are you?
I'm well done. How are you?
Fantastic. Now, Career Choices. Tell us a bit about what Career Choices does. Tell us who Diana Parker is, and then tell us about how you got started in business in the first place.
Okay. First of all, thank you for inviting me. Career Choices is, of course, a woman-owned business which was born out of a need for human resources consulting. Part of my passion has been human resources. Looking back over my career, just about every job that I have had has been in human resources, and it's been in the government. So for me, it was a normal progression to move from being an employee to a business owner. So when I retired from the federal government after 36 years of service.
You retired? You're too young to retire.
And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do outside of ministry. I am an ordained minister.
Okay.
I began to look at what the government was doing to provide services in the area of human resources. And I just saw that there is a great need for contractors. So I began to explore it. And actually, Career Choices was born back in the 80s.
Was it?
But at the time, I mean, I knew that I was supposed to start the business. I incorporated it. Everything was in place, and it lay dormant for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Because so many other things were happening in my life and in my career that it just wasn't the time to do it. But after retirement, I guess you would call it a rebirth of the organization. And so we have been providing human resources services, staffing, recruitment. The interesting thing now is that everything is done online. So one thing about the business is it's very portable.
Okay.
And it's easy to do it remotely. But there has been a need for that service, and we have been able to fill that need.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And so now I'm going to introduce you to my other favorite person, Joan Branch. And Joan, you have a company called Interdynamics.
Yes.
And so tell us about your company, about you, and how you got started.
Okay. Interdynamics started in my home, actually, after 23 years of working in the school system. As a school psychologist, I started working out of my home and doing private therapy, evaluations, and looking at the whole child. Because at school, I had to look at it just from the child themselves as opposed to an education, as opposed to the whole child, the other aspects of that child, and how that child needed to have integrated services. And so I started doing work from my home, and I started initially just me. And then I started including other clinicians and doing some work first with the local government in the county, and then with schools in the District of Columbia. And then in 2002, I left the school system and fully depended on Interdynamics to support me and to support some employees that I had in staff.
Was it full-time then?
Yeah, I was full-time, and it was exciting. It was something I liked to do. I felt like I was accomplishing something. I had a dream, and it became real. And so I also began to be able to employ people. And so what started off to be just me individually ended up now I have over 23 full-time employees.
Wow.
And somewhere near 35 contractors that are part of Interdynamics and what we do with local, state, and federal contracting. We've been in existence for over 15 years and branching out to do more government work because we became an 8A firm in 2011.
Good.
And started reaching out not just to work in this local area, but nationally into various places throughout the United States. So we're excited about that.
All right. Now, Diana, what is human resource consulting?
Human resource consulting includes staffing, recruitment, hiring people, arranging interviews, background investigations, reviewing applications, determining the best qualified applicants, and actually every step that you would take to bring the person on board.
Okay.
Offering the job, providing job offer letters, information about the benefits that are involved, new employee orientations, just really from start to finish in terms of getting someone in the door.
Okay. And so for the government, career choices then actually helps them select government employees?
That's correct.
Or, okay,
Yes,
inside the government agencies themselves?
Yes, we do help them select government employees.
Okay, okay. So all the people I know at IRS that I don't like, I'm going to make sure I send them to you so you can get rid of them. Okay? Joan, behavioral health. What is behavioral health?
So behavioral health is a new term that we use to assign to what we used to call mental health services.
Oops, okay.
So
Sounds much better.
Does that sound better? Actually, behavioral health was supposed to make it sound a little softer because of the stigma often assigned to the concept of mental health or mental work of some kind. And really what we're talking about is looking at the emotional or thinking processes of an individual and how it affects them in their occupational, family life, social life, and whether or not those skills that you have mentally or emotionally are functioning in a way that you can be your best.
Okay, and so you started out working with children in the school system who were referred to you because they had some kind of problem, and I don't want to use the word problem, but they had some kind of concern in their schoolwork?
Well, yeah, in some cases that's absolutely true. And in other cases it was working with infants who may have been born with some sort of impairment or maybe they were premature. With the improvement in sciences, what used to be fetal deaths actually have been an increase in life with births. And so with that, there are often some interventions that have to be in place because maybe that child was born premature and there's some developmental delays, or maybe that child has some health problems that would not have been successful many years ago, and now we have learned how to intervene in a way that these children can live and be productive, but they may need some supports, and those supports may come in a way of occupational therapy or physical therapy or speech therapy, but most of all we have to define first what it is. And a psychologist typically will do that. They'll come in and evaluate and see what exact needs and what types of specialists need to be a part of this child's intervention.
So now you work with a lot of workplace related issues as opposed to the children.
Right.
Tell us about some of those workplace related issues.
So when talking to you earlier, I'm talking about how a person's emotional or behavioral issues impact their functioning as a child. Same thing with adults. How their emotional or their thinking processes impact their performance at work or their relationships, either relationships at work or relationships at home that may impact work. And so evaluations help us to identify what the climate is in the organization, the workplace, and what the climate or what the functioning is of the individuals within the workplace. And we will do that evaluation and determine whether or not a person has emotional issues that could interfere with them doing their job. So we do job task analysis to see first what's involved to complete their task and whether or not it's compatible with their cognitive or emotional skills. And we do that in various organizations. Quite recently, we started doing it with the Baltimore Police Department. We've done it with the Pentagon Police Protection Agency. We do it with school officials. We've done it with Health and Human Services. So any individual in their overall functioning could need to have a check at some point to see what's going on. Are they okay? And are there some interventions that need to be put in place?
Wow, that's so exciting.
It is.
Diana, now that most of employment things are online, I mean, it seems like the entire employment process is an online process. Resumes, the old school way of getting a job doesn't exist anymore. How did you and Career Choices transition to the new way, or were you always up to speed on the new online way of doing business and becoming employed?
Well, actually, Don, the transition came about when I was working for the government as a personnel specialist. And that's when the transition really took place. And so it was an advantage to me as an employee to learn the process early on, so that coming back as a contractor, it's really second nature.
Oh, that sounds good.
And although things have changed and we're doing a lot online, there's still the people part of it. You can't get away from that. And so people are constantly calling, asking about their qualifications, asking about just different things about the position itself or the workplace or the benefits. And what happens is we end up forming a relationship with those individuals, and it's really rewarding when they come on board and at new employees orientation, they come up and introduce themselves and say, "Oh, I remember you, and you are very helpful to me, and I'm so glad to meet you."
All right, and that's just who you are, so that makes it well. We're going to take a break for a couple of seconds, and we're going to come right back. And after we get a little breather, we're going to talk specifically about why you ladies decided to go into business. Hi, everyone. The objective of the Wealth Zone University is to change your mind about money, to change your financial future. Hi, I'm your host, Don Moragne. In the Wealth Zone University segment, my guests and I talk about a wide variety of business, financial, and other worldly topics. We are seeking to both educate and entertain you. We emphasize that the information and discussions are my opinion, perspectives, and ideas, and those of our guests. We in no way intend to deliver or provide financial, tax, or business advice. You should consult your tax, accounting, financial, insurance, and legal advisors regarding the impact, application, or pertinence of any topic or opinion that we share on the Wealth Zone University. Thank you for being a part of our audience, and please continue to communicate with us through email and Twitter, because this is your show. Diana, I want to know, what was your impetus for going into business, number one, and have you found it rewarding in the time that you've been in business?
Well, Don, I went into business because I saw a need, and I knew that that need could be met. I felt
and that you could meet it.
Yes, that I could meet the need. I had years of experience. I knew what I was doing and felt that I was good at it, and that it was time for me to stretch a little bit, form my own company, and provide the service that I had been doing.
Folks, you see that confidence there, right?
I had been doing it for years. So it was a natural progression for me to move from working for someone to working for myself and owning my own business.
And how has it been for you as a business person, as a businesswoman, since you started your business? Has it been rewarding? Have you found challenges?
It's been very rewarding for me. I found acceptance everywhere that I have been. People are excited. The bottom line is, if you have skills and you have gifts, your gifts will make room for you.
Okay, I love that.
And so doors have been open as a result of that. Wherever you work, people always want to see what you have to offer. You come in with a resume, they interview you, but it's only when you're actually on the job that they see that you can actually use those skills that you have described in your resume. And so I've had great success in that aspect.
Fantastic. Joan, what made you leave the DC school system and start your own business, number one? And number two, I know that you've had some fantastic success in the growth of your business, but how do you feel about the entire process since you're now the owner and CEO of your own company?
Well, I started because it's very interesting. I honestly actually always felt that that was something I was supposed to do. And so there were many, many small ventures, business ventures, starting even when I was a young girl. And not that I'm too much older than when I was a young girl.
Of course, we understand that.
But so I found myself always doing something a little extra beyond the job. From having a small summer camp when I was in college during the summers, to seeing an extra client. But it also was that I really enjoyed every aspect of psychology, every aspect of it, from the evaluations to the treatment, to the meetings around it, to just exploring what it meant, to understanding it, and to really feeling like I was making a difference in the lives, first of children, and then the families that were connected to the children. And it was so gripping that when I got involved with the children and then the families, and then I realized that the families also had some hurt and some healing and some needs that I could support, then before long I knew I was involved with them. And then I looked at their jobs and how their jobs affected them. And then before long I was involved with that. And then I looked at the organizations that the people worked in, and I was involved with that. And each step of it was amazingly exciting, and I knew I was in the right place that I was meant to be, and that work was not work. It was really just doing what I felt I was supposed to do. And the joy was not only in meeting the needs of the people that I serve, but it also then began in creating jobs for other people and seeing how those jobs created more stability in their lives. And then the next step, to focus on women, which I have, young women, and being able to mentor and support them. Because I do think that it's a different journey for women in business and life in general.
Yeah. Good. Well, you know, I read a while ago that there are almost 10 million women-owned businesses in the United States, but less than 100,000 have been certified by the Small Business Association to work with government contracting. So you two are in government contracting all the way. You're getting to government contracting in a big way. What is it about government contracting that attracted you to it, and why do you think that so many women either don't know about it or don't go through the certification process? Diane?
Well, actually,
Diana?
my first exposure to contracting, government contracting, was when I was a government employee. And there were government contractors working in the office. And I just began to explore just what it was all about. And I was not aware that there were so many contractors in the Washington, D.C. area. I mean, as the seat of government, that's a normal thing.
Yeah.
But because
this is the central place you can find government
right,
contracting.
but because I was seeing it from the other side, I wasn't totally aware of everything that was going on in contracting.
Did you see a lot of women in contracting when you were there?
More women than men.
Did you? Okay.
But that's the reality for human resources anyway.
All righty.
It's always been predominantly women.
Okay.
There are some men, but predominantly women.
Okay, so you saw a lot of women in government contracting.
Yes.
Both when you were an employee and now that you are a government contractor, you see a lot of women in working in government contracting.
Yes, I do.
Good, good. Joan, I know you're just getting, well, not just, but you're growing in government contracting. What made you decide to go that route? And do you see a lot of women in the path that you're traveling?
So when you're in business, you're always looking for ways to stabilize and grow. If you're not growing, you know, you're moving backwards. And so you're always kind of looking at, so what can I do next? And what level can I take this to? And so government was a natural step for us. And to get into 8A, I think a lot of it has to do with your knowledge, education, and exposure. And so my experience is a little different from Diane's in that people in behavioral health in the Department of Defense, in the field that I am in, I really don't see a whole lot of women. I see more men, and I see more, and these are men that are contracting companies that we do have the opportunity to team with. And some of them are attracted to us because we are women, because Interdynamics is a woman-owned firm, and we can bring another vehicle to the table. But I truly do believe that that Career Choice is just a wonderful organization that even in Interdynamics could benefit from, because you have the experience and the education of working in the government and understanding all of those kind of angles. Because before the government opportunities were introduced to me as an education in terms of information, I really didn't understand that as an opportunity. So for Interdynamics, we spent many, many years in just a commercial world and doing local and state contracting and person-to-person network and kind of building the company. It wasn't until much later in our development that we knew about the 8A program, knew about opportunities in it, and then that we are now beginning to understand how to navigate government contracting and building the relationships that you need to build and to move within that organization.
Yeah. So part of the government process is knowing, once you get in, how to navigate and how to really become proficient in the process of government contracting. Now, coming out of the government, were you kind of familiar with the process before you went in as a business owner, or did you have to learn it from the other side once you decided to go into business, Diana?
I did have to learn it from the other side, Don, and it was quite a learning experience, because there's so many things you take for granted when you're working for someone. And so in terms of setting up the business, it was a matter of familiarizing myself with the process and actually engaging in the process. Now, Career Choices is now subcontracting with a larger company. And so that has been very valuable, because there are a lot of things that come under the umbrella of the larger company that we have not had to deal with. But I see the business expanding and really kind of cutting out the middle person and dealing directly with the contracting process. So that's going to be another education within itself.
But subcontracting helped you get into the process?
Yes.
And kind of insulated you so that you could have time to become accustomed to the process and then learn it on your own, I would imagine.
That's correct. It's been an invaluable experience.
And Joan, you just said that for a while you stayed in the commercial area until you were able to learn and grow in knowledge in terms of what government contracting is.
Right.
And so now, was that process very, very onerous to you? Was it a long process? Are you still going through it? So I know you're doing some subcontracting also.
Actually, our contracts are primes, but they're small. And where our subcontracting is done on the state level, but our federal contracts are primes contracts.
So
you're doing both prime and sub?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
But of course, you know, you grow with the sizes of the contracts, and the complications increase with that size. And one of the things that we've done is try to build more relationships so that we can do more subcontracting, so you get a bigger piece of the larger pie, and you get to learn, as Diana has said, from the companies who have larger grasp on what's going on. Yeah.
Well, you know, it seems that being in government contracting is an ideal place for any business to be, but especially a woman-owned business, because the SBA has special programs that are directly impacting the ability for women to get into government contracting. Have any of those programs helped either one of you?
Well, I haven't really worked with those programs yet, but as we expand the business, I anticipate that we will do that.
Okay, good, good. Joan, have any of the women-owned small business programs been of assistance to you?
We've gone to a couple of their outreach sessions, and that has been helpful and informative to us in terms of, and also gives us the opportunity to network with other people and build relationships. So in that way, I would say yes.
Great, great. Well, you know, we've had some time with these two wonderful female entrepreneurs in government contracting, and one of the things that has come out of this is that government contracting can be extremely rewarding, obviously both from a revenue perspective and from a perspective of just gifts. Diana, give me your gift saying again. Your gifts.
Your gifts make room for you.
Your gifts make room for you. That's even better than our credo. I'd like to thank both of you for showing up, and for you at the studio audience. You have two people here that are willing to mentor you and talk to you. So you see their information along the screen. Can people call you?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely, absolutely. This is Don Moragne. I'm signing off. Have a great day and come back and see us very soon.